Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Bluedragonfive here.
And Jacob Wile too.
And Rohith Dhar 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we find ourselves in the midst of Disney's big venture into the world of streaming, having started a war in the process, we thought it'd be nice to stay up to date on the ever growing catalog and rule on what's a must or a bust on Disney Plus.
And tonight we are bringing you episode 3 of Miss Marvel, Destined.
Yeah.
We're halfway there.
Halfway there, yes. Someone played on the old Victrola when we're halfway there. Yes.
That's why you'll get what I'm talking about, right, guys?
Oh, yeah.
And that's also why I put that in the description too.
Right. Anyways, so we're joined by the wonderful Rohith Dhar. Now, Rohit, we haven't had you on for Miss Marvel yet, have we?
No, this is my. Yeah.
So tell us, how you feel about the show?
I really enjoy it. I think I'll speak from my personal experience. It's the MCU property that is the most relatable to me. I'm Indian American and Kamala Khan is Pakistani American, but we're essentially both South Asian. And the cultural aspects with her family, with the wedding, especially this episode, it really hits home for me. It's stuff that I experienced growing up, and I just need to see that represented in such a normal and fun and joyous way. And Iman Vellani, I think, is one of the best casting choices in MCU history.
She is rather good.
Her temperament, her youthfulness, it's really this show could not work if you don't get Kamala Khan right.
There is a degree of in the best of ways, I love how it's kind of present throughout the show. There's a lot of I find Ant-Man to be the most likable property in the MCU, one of the most likable casted of the heroes, and I feel like even they're kind of name dropping him a lot. She does bring kind of a youthful Ant-Man quality to the bunch. I like that. She's very likable.
What's also funny, it's also kind of funny about the casting in general, but not necessarily with her, but apparently the person that they got to play Bruno was in the short list to play Spider-Man in the MCU.
There you go.
When you think about it, because the actor is, I think, 2021, and at the time that he would be considered for Spider-Man, he would be one of the younger picks, younger actors, 14 or 15, I think.
I remember Asa Butterfield was really in the running at the time, if I recall.
Yeah, him, Charlie Rowe, Plummer, and then Holland, and so
yeah,
but I think Bruno does give a lot of Peter Parker, not Tom Holland Peter Parker. He gives me a lot of Insomniac Peter Parker energy,
right?
A lot, but
which is one of the best modern incarnations of Peter Parker.
Yeah, the PS4 game. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, now the point of the PlayStation game. Yeah.
I think a lot of us knew what he meant by Insomniac.
No, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm just, I don't know, just in case anyone's like, oh man, was it Spider-Man not getting enough sleep? Just All right, I can hear the flies buzzing around that one. I'm sorry, Rohit. Go on with your point.
Yeah. And so this episode really hits home, sort of what makes Miss Marvel unique, both in the comics and the MCU, is that it's very family oriented. With the two times that she hears her parents really espouse the value of family, her sort of the other family, or the fact that her friends, especially Bruno, just easily goes to her brother's wedding and they're just part of the family. It's very emphasis on the bond, and that's always such something that you see in other MCU movies to certain degrees, but especially I think for a young girl that's just growing up and using superpowers as sort of a venue to explore a coming of age story. The emphasis on family being sort of your support system, foundation when things get a little bit more complicated, is especially a very poignant theme. And this episode is just a very fun deep dive into Kamala's family and just the culture around that. So I really liked it. Also, I just realized the episode is a pun.
Yeah, it is for the whole like the
Yes,
clandestine and the whole.
yeah, I realized that as so.
I appreciated that. I did.
I didn't even think about that until right before he said like, "Oh, right, the clandestine."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, here's where I come down on this episode specifically. I gotta admit, I've been really riding high on Miss Marvel for the past 2 episodes. This one, I was liking it, but then like let's call it the third act of the episode. Basically, when we kind of get to like kind of the climax and the turn, kind of by the third, towards the end of the episode, I got really deflated, man. I was like really riding high, and this is like the first time I've kind of hit a wall with it. It's like, oh no. I mean, here's the thing. I really like that we were, going in this really different direction with Miss Marvel. I was loving getting to know Kamala and everything and the cultural stuff and all that's like really neat. And I like that we do that with the wedding here and all that sort of stuff. I honestly, the Sheik has basically the visual image of our episode is one of my favorite scenes in the thing. I really love that scene. So that's the thing. The problem is we now kind of out of left field. We have these bargain bin Eternals bad guys. Who just kind of came out of nowhere, and it's like we're giving an origin to the power set, which is interesting, which already is kind of like the uphill battle of the show, in which, okay, well, we're changing the whole Terrigen kind of like, kind of more kind of science and or cosmic kind of backstory, with Kamala, that we're now just kind of like, what, I mean...
Yeah, we didn't even really get their names, did we?
Well, we get their names, but that's what I'm saying, they're really unmemorable. Oh, do you mean what they're called, or do you mean the individual characters?
The individuals.
Yeah, that's on the individuals. I think they are named. They have like a little meet and greet, so I think they're name dropped at least once. But I guess what I'm saying, kind of unmemorably.
It's like this is like we first ever see them when they're in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's about it.
And then we don't see them until basically the assault on the wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah, the damage control people are kind of more better defined, and like I think, and they're not even
the bad guys.
I admit, I kind of wish they were though. That's kind of because I like the vibe that we hit here really well. I was really hoping they would. The whole Islamophobia thing they're tackling with damage control. I really like that. And that's what I'm saying. I wish we kind of stuck with that as like, okay, it's kind of our in quotes antagonist.
It's more like they think it's Islamophobia, even though it really isn't.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I like that we're kind of represent. I like that there's like the damage control obviously has their priorities, but they are kind of jumping the gun on certain things, which again parallels Islamophobia, and we're not letting that kind of fall by the wayside. Oh yeah, because you saw like basically a brown teenager running around, which again I like that we're. And again, they're kind of like trying to trance over some civil liberties there in the mosque, without the warrant and everything. Not even like offering the warrants. I don't know. So that's the kind of stuff I was hoping we would get into with damage control. And we're hitting that, and then it's like, okay, no, here's our fighty fight kind of section here, where it's like, okay, basically, the biggest problem I have with this episode is that you mean to tell me these guys have been stranded in this dimension for God knows how long? Well, I guess since
at least the 40s.
Till at least the 40s. Maybe a little bit before then, but let's just say since the 40s. They've been waiting all that time. Kamala wants to help them, even at risk to herself, as we established. And you mean to tell me they can't wait till at least after a wedding, maybe 2 weeks tops?
I wish there was a little bit more, like, honestly, they could, if they were just like mustache twirling, wanting to take over this dimension or have their dimensions merge or something like that, it would make more sense to have the urgency that they do.
Yeah.
Or if you want them make them sympathetic, how you could consider them sympathetic, like maybe they're slowly dying, or
maybe
like they're present, or they're like them being this dimension like hurts them, like even though they can live long, their quality of life is not that great.
Yeah, we didn't hit any of that. I mean, this is like for me, this is a far step down from Arthur Hart, who was a really good bad guy on Moon Knight, to me.
Yeah, it feels. I'll say this: the show, I think, considering we see the bad guys in the third episode and there's just 3 episodes left, like, I think the villains are probably going to be the more not the highlights of this, which it's unfortunate, but I mean, with a season 2 and 3, you can get like good villains from the comics, like the inventor, or maybe like a Marvel villain that's not as well that's like underutilized, but could be retooled to be like a great antagonist to Kamala.
Right. Yeah, because that was the thing going into this, not knowing Miss Marvel well. Because all I've heard of like is the inventor, but outside of that, I don't really know anything about like her rogues gallery, if she really even has like a rogues gallery outside of perhaps petty crime. Or I imagine for the most part, she probably linked up with Captain Marvel back.
I think her new comic, like or at least new as in like it's been around for maybe like 2 or 3 years. Like outside the inventor, the other villain is like this like her essentially like Venom, like a symbiotic costume or something like that.
Right.
I don't hear like a lot. I don't hear much about like Miss Marvel villains, that often. It feels to me that the Miss Marvel comics are more like slice of life meet superhero. There's not really like an emphasis on villains with long, complicated stories or colorful like villains or all that. So it's very just like stop a robbery and try to manage homework and all that stuff.
I mean, that in itself has its merits, obviously.
No. I'm not. Wasn't trying to like knock it, but it's like, I mean, no, you don't know. Maybe in a few years, like Miss Marvel might build like a rogues gallery of her own that like the MCU can mine for future seasons.
Jacob, how you feeling about the episode, buddy?
I did like the episode, especially as you guys about the cultural stuff. I mean, funnily enough, the cultural stuff is the most interesting aspects of this show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's supposed to be a superhero show, but obviously, that's the thing with a lot of these movies. Everything like a lot of times it's the story, like the other stuff up front, and then the superhero stuff comes second, which isn't always a bad thing, of course.
Yeah.
But here, like it's definitely at the forefront. Like the cultural stuff is, for me, is like a lot more interesting than the superhero stuff. And if the villains are going to be the Jinn that are just suddenly introduced within this particular episode, unless they like do some like major backstory and then explanation, they're not going to probably kind of be underwhelming.
Yeah.
But overall, like I really enjoyed that. I did enjoy the episode for the most part. I mean, I did like to see like the conflicts unfurl and everything. So I'm going. All right, I'll stop now.
All right, what would you like to start with? You want to talk about the Bengal backstory that we get, basically the whole Jinn kind of revelation, the whole flashback stuff, or do you want to talk about the wedding?
Let's talk about the Jinn stuff first.
All right. So here's essentially what we learned in this episode on the Bengal and the whole what the deal is with Kamala's power. So again,
we learned one of two.
Yes, there's one of two, and now here's the here's the thing that has me excited, and here's the thing that has me a little I don't know if I can say concerned, but just a little or underwhelmed. But it's something that has me a little iffy. So thing I like how we're threading the needle with Shang-Chi, in which we have the 10 rings in this temple. And the implication perhaps being that Wenwu, in his travels, over his long life, he came across these along with basically what I'm really hoping we go with the Bengal in connection with this is that perhaps. See, my hope with this new take on Kamala's powers was that she is it maybe correlates to Captain Marvel and that the items came from space, perhaps like the 10 rings did.
And well, I mean, China isn't very far from India, so
that's the thing. I mean, that's ultimately this was like a really good. Hey, I mean, I know it's not all certain yet or anything. I know it's kind of speculatory, but it's the fact we saw the 10 rings logo and the fact like at the end of Shang-Chi and the Legend of 10 Rings, we saw the at the very end, like we don't know the exact origin. We ran it by Captain Marvel, like, hey, you recognize these rings? And it's like, oh no, I don't. So she's kind of looking into the rings right now. They're kind of on her mind, and the correlation, it would be kind of like a way for her to meet her hero in a natural way, or perhaps jettison her into the Marvels. When
I mean,
that happens.
the considering that the Jinn are from another dimension does make the connection with Shang-Chi, considering Tao Lo's a thing. So it might set sort of the moving forward that for say other mythologies like Celtic mythology or whatever like particular culture you could think of, what their lore is, you can definitely like utilize it and bring it to the MCU. And I think it's kind of a cool thing to see, like just how wide the universe is, It's not just like, all right, you have Earth and space. It's like, oh, you have dimensions, alternate universes, all that. So it's I think I wouldn't put it past that 10 Rings connection to go a little bit like further down the line in future seasons. Especially with like the whole thing about like the mystic elements of like Chinese, mythology and like things in Hinduism maybe are just like aliens or just beings from other planes of existence that are so advanced that we consider them magic.
Well, that's the thing. This really does make me think Shang-Chi might be kind of our big kind of phase 4, kind of like sort of like our well, maybe not per se like this, but it's just kind of like as an example, kind of like our Iron Man connect that maybe runs through the phase 4 to a degree in the background. Okay, maybe not the best comparison. Maybe like a different, I don't know, like a Iron Man or Captain
I
America
think what we're
one.
trying to say is like with Iron Man, like he's Tony Stark himself is connected to Captain America with his father, and the arc reactor technology is
Yeah.
such a big through line to Phase 1.
Yeah.
I definitely can see the connection where the 10 rings and the bangles are just like or items that are variable but that can provide you or allow you access to great powers. Could be a running theme, for
Yeah.
Phase 1. Yeah.
Listen, I could easily see, some of this. Well, I mean, not a lot of this, but I'm saying I think see the 10 rings popping up in a different capacity, and for example, maybe Armor Wars. When we get there with the Power Broker. For all we know, I'm not saying the mystical component. I'm just saying the 10 rings kind of coming back through other means, but as well, you'd have the
Criminal
mystical
organization, terrorist kind of deal.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Shang-Chi's sister did turn her planning on turning them around. It looks like.
Exactly. So we don't know how that's gonna. We could say the same thing with Scarlet Witch, and we saw how that turned out. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, to be fair, Scarlet Witch was corrupted by a magical outside.
You're right about that. I'm just saying, but yeah, I don't know. It's the fact like she was just bit like she's in charge now. That's all we really knew at the end there. I'd like to think she's going to turn around, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't think she would turn evil per se, unless. Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, so let's see. But here's the other big thing, though. Here's the other big Captain Marvel connect that we do have. The thing that the Bengal was on. It was a severed arm, but not just any severed arm, kids.
It was a blue severed arm.
Kree arm.
See, I don't think it's a Kree.
You think it's just a cold mummified hand, don't you?
No, I think it's. Like I feel like it's kind of like a cute. I feel like they're not gonna elaborate on it, and I feel like the funny joke is that like, oh, like the genie on Aladdin is blue skin.
Oh right, the gin.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's. Well, we don't know because the thing is, it's not like Jin. There's not really much elaboration on like Jin as like a species in this episode. Like they're humanoid. They don't age as like on the level of regular humans. They have some level of durability, but they don't. But there's really nothing much beyond that. They don't have like varied powers. So I am curious if there's just like different gens just have different levels of power durability, and maybe that's like for Miss Marvel moving forward. Like maybe like the other villains would be like Jin themselves or like Jin inspired, but
right. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, again, honestly, I'm just really pulling for like that kind of Captain Marvel connect. But you're right, though. Honestly, I mean, it would make the Kree would be a little random if it were Kree, but I'm hoping there would be like a way to go, assuming it is a Kree. But you're right, though. It could be just like a Jin arm. It wouldn't explain how it got the Bengal.
Here's the thing, though. It's like they're like they all because in this episode there's just a discussion about like the light inside themselves and like them from another dimension.
Yeah, the North.
So there might be a Captain Marvel connection in the sense that maybe like the dimension itself has sort of the same level of energy or energy signature as like the Tesseract.
Okay.
And maybe that's the connection where like the villain of the Marvels is maybe wanting to harness like that level of energy in that dimension or something on that level.
Okay. Yeah.
Because considering the Tesseract was like easily utilized as an energy source for weapons, like it's very much possible like for Jin themselves or like dimension that they're from to be utilized as an energy source.
The thing about the Nord dimension that I'm curious about is I think they're drawing a fine line here. This could blow back on them very easily. But I think again when they say another dimension, I don't think that's technically a multiverse. Does that sound right to you guys? Like this
No,
is.
I don't think it's a multiverse. I
I just
think
want
it's
to be clear because I hope people aren't going to get too confused because I didn't get the multiverse vibe. Right? I just got it's another dimension.
no. I think it's like like the negative zone,
Yeah.
or the quantum realm, or
It's
like
like-
how low, like
It's like there are dimensions within a universe.
Exactly. Like for example, like we coined, we name dropped him here, Eric Selvig, which of course, Thor. We explore other dimensions and stuff that are within our realm. Just basically what's within our universe, just different realms within the universe.
Yeah.
So not a multiverse. Again, it's not like the what if something changed. Like no, this is just other dimensions that inhabit our the one universe that who's watching right now.
Yeah, I mean the dark dimension is like a thing.
There
Yeah.
you go. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's cool to bring back to reference Selvig, especially with the whole thing about the Einstein-Ross bridge, or the Ross-Einstein, the Einstein-Ross bridge,
Don't you mean Rosenbridge?
Rosen bridge, yeah. And actually, now that I think about it, like the whole what's going back to Shang-Chi, maybe like the water, like the way that they got it into Ta Lo was basically through something like that, but like on a smaller scale.
Okay. So let's see. All right. So the point we have a flashback, we kind of revealed to Kamala that essentially she's part Jinn, which we saw her, I believe, like was it her great grandmother with Aisha?
Yes.
Yeah, so she's like 1/16 Jin,
Okay.
which is kind of crazy. Then that like putting on the bangle unlocked that like genetic potential and her getting like superpowers essentially.
Right. Yeah. So that's the thing. So the bangle to me seems to be a conduit for energy that the energy that she has, and I guess. Well, again, this is one thing I'm hoping they're very likely gonna clarify next episode why she's very much the key for the Bengal thing. Like they really need her to unlock it. I mean, I'm assuming it has in connection with her grandmother, but her great grandmother, but we'll see.
It could be the thing that like certain Jin are more powerful than others, and maybe like Aisha was like the more powerful or the most powerful of the group, and that's why she was kind of in the leadership role.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Jacob, you want to say anything?
Oh no, sorry.
Yeah. So let's see. So oh yes. So let's bridge into kind of our cultural stuff and the wedding stuff. So again, I was really impressed. We were hitting a little bit of the Islamophobia, or at least the kind of paralleling the Islamophobia with damage control, walking in. I just want to mention, I'm really loving Nakia, which again, Rohit, isn't it so funny that we have like two Nakias in the MCU? We have her, and we have Lupita Nyong'o, Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little fun. Anyway, point we have Nakia, the Kamala's friend, and the Sheikh Abdullah, I believe his name is.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so I really love those characters. I love that they kind of had their moment together, and that the Sheik's really growing on me, man. Because initially I was thinking, okay, he's just gonna be the stuffy kind of old ways kind of guy, but like, no, this guy actually brings a lot of wisdom, and he now I know this is from the comic, but I love how we kind of framed it here, where Kamala's off to herself, kind of doubting herself with like how she's being perceived, and just such an excellent scene where we basically have her version of great power, great responsibility with something that, if I understand it right, because I remember this from in correlation to the Pakistani culture with the movie with Rami Malek and the Queen movie.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody. Thank you. Yes. And you had the whole. There was always that really great line in Bohemian Rhapsody, the whole like good thoughts, good deeds, and that kind of parallels it here with like good is not what you are, it's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So that is like a thing that's indoctrinated into the Pakistani culture. Am I right?
I mean, I'm not Pakistani myself, but like I think it's.
Well, I know you're not, but I'm just wondering.
It sounds right. And also it could also be just part of like Muslim teachings and just. To be a good Muslim, you just sort of help out the community and all that stuff. But sorry. You were saying?
It's good enough advice to transcend any particular boundaries.
Yeah. Sect of any religion.
No,
yeah.
I really was surprised though that damage control didn't or couldn't get a warrant. I wonder if just that lady specifically didn't.
And I don't, and I honestly don't know if this like only applies to like official police officers or if it even extends to government officials. But technically, they can search premises if they have just cause.
Well, there's just cause, and this is literally like a fishing expedition. They're just trying to find like, hey, is there a girl who matches this description here?
I know. I'm just saying, but there are. I'm just saying there are particular situations.
Right. Well, I know the FBI needs a warrant, so I'm going to take the leap and say most government institutions. I don't know how the CIA works.
Well, CIA is like the intelligence agency, so like they get Department of Damage Control. It's interesting, like how they are now as compared to when they first were introduced. Department of Damage Control just seems like a government agency that's like more bureaucratic. Like
damage control is like cleanup crew essentially.
Yeah. So they're more public works or something like that. Not public works, but something like
Parks and Rec,
or like more regulatory than anything.
Yes.
And then now they're like both regulatory and law enforcement.
What's really interesting? I'm sorry.
Which is interesting because it's like, man, I'm just wondering, like, did someone just pass an act that like expanded the jurisdiction of damage control, and maybe damage control is a little bit more liberally construed to be like damage from like potential just like unmonitored vigilante superheroes.
So it's so funny you mentioned that, Rohit, because I think She-Hulk's going to get into that because we have like the new superhuman law that's in effect.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking perhaps there was like a kind of a cascading effect within kind of our institutions in the MCU, especially with S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of like off the books and like kind of in space right now and all that sort of stuff going on with S.W.O.R.D. I think just things have just changed dramatically in the 5-year gap and like with everything. It's kind of, especially ever since everyone came back.
Things can change in 5 years.
Oh yeah. So yeah. I mean, also Agent Diva. I can smell the trouble on that lady. That lady just seems like she gives off the biggest kind of impression of like, yeah, I'm going to walk around and do what I want and judge people, be all judgy. It's kind of like the vibe you kind of got from her, like just kind of at the end when she's watching that video and everything. And basically in the previous episode where she's interrogating Zoe, I believe, the girl. Anyways, that's the thing. So I can just see it. I think what happened was like basically she just kind of walked in thinking, I can just bulldoze past this guy without going to the trouble of getting a warrant and everything. And yeah, it's a whole. See, I can see her. I can see her definitely. Honestly, the two agents were her and Agent Deaver and the guy who basically was in Cleary. Thank you. Yes, Cleary, who was in No Way Home.
Yeah.
Yeah, these guys. Wow, he's on the show Succession, by the way. The guy who plays Cleary.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that guy's just really really kind of skeezy in terms of his interrogating tactics and kind of his investigative.
It is skeezy, but it's very funny just like how easily he can manipulate high schoolers. I'll say this: it's like if I was like Ned or Zoe's age, like I could very easily be like buttered up by Clearly. He
buttered up by Cleary.
Yeah. He definitely knows how to like manipulate like teenagers, which I don't know if that just like implies a lot of dark implications about the guy, but maybe that could be explored in like other MCU stuff. What was really cool about the wedding is like it affords the show to provide little character moments for like each member of Kamala's immediate family.
Yeah.
There's like a moment for that where the mom shines, there's a moment where the dad shines, and there's a moment where like the brother shines.
How are you feeling about Kamala's family, by the way? Because in the first episodes, the first episode particularly, I was really worried about the mother. And I'm not saying I'm fully warmed up to her yet, but I mean, I love Abu. I love her father so much. Yeah, that's the thing. The mother is like, for example, like the whole mother, like kind of banning her from Avengers Con. Yeah, like, hey, go to the party. There's gonna be alcohol. That's fine.
Well, in all fairness, to defend. So the thing I was on that front, but in rewatching or I think when I was talking to some people about it, the thing is that like I think it's mentioned in like some dialogue offhand that like Kamala and Zoe like carpool together growing up. And the fact that Kamala mentioned that both Bruna and Nakia there probably made it like didn't let the mom to think it's like a house party or something like that.
Right, right.
It's more like
Okay,
a small get together, you know.
right.
Uh, but but I really do. But like her scene with Kamala, like in the bathroom, as she's like helping the knee and just talking about how hard it was to just adapt to living in the U.S. Hit not like hit very much hits home. Like we've definitely known women that not come from just Pakistan, but South Asia, just coming to the U.S. and just having to just adjust and try to make a life for yourself. And really, really good acting for both the mom and Kamala.
Okay. Yeah. By the way, I don't know if I don't know if you heard this or not, Rohit, but yeah, we actually kind of have a friend of a friend who's in the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. So that's the thing. So her brother Amir, that's our friend. Well, again, it's kind of we know the guy we're friends with the sketch comedy channel, Just Giggle, Joshua Thomas, and he's done a number of sketches, and one of his actors was that guy. So
Oh, Cigar Sheet.
yes, yeah, Sagar Sheikh, yeah. Yeah, we did like a whole theme month on him and everything. So yeah, we've kind of like talked about all the sketches he was in and everything. But yeah, like way before this was announced, like we never imagined like a million years. Like, oh my god, they put him in the MCU. What is happening?
Hey, I mean, like, consider this, like, for the main star herself, like, she dressed up as Miss Marvel when she was 14 or 15, and now she gets to play her, like, in a TV show. Like, that's kind of, like, and not even, like, 10 or 15 years later, but, like, within 5 or 6 years. That's pretty insane.
So I just like that we saw kind of our sketch comedy guy really get to stretch some acting chops here because one is really good at being the supported brother, and also we hear we give him like a little bit of a dramatic scene with the whole he has that I don't know, it's not a dramatic he has like kind of the scene where he's worried about money and he's confessing
Relatable.
yeah, it's relatable. The whole like the whole money or the basically like success or love is essentially or something. Basically, you can live in fear, you can live in love. That line from Abu.
Yeah.
And it did leave to like kind of funny, but when the fire alarm goes off, like, oh, grab the money.
It was so hilarious, like when his like wife is like complimenting the other bride, and he's just like holding the money straight to the chest. It's like, all
Yeah.
right,
That's kind of the perfect kind of dichotomy of like, okay, look, Sagar's getting the stretch, but also playing a bit of the comedy when he's grabbing that money.
yeah,
And also, I gotta tell you, I did not, I don't know, I had no idea this was a thing. Because I saw like the ceremony going down. I didn't know he had to say the vows 3 times during the
yeah. I didn't
ceremony.
know either. I'm not familiar with like how Muslim wedding functions go, but it's actually it's actually really sweet,
Yeah,
and I love how like the brother like just the like each successive time he gets, you can feel like the love deepen, and that's a I really appreciate from just acting wise. And then afterwards, like the dancing sequence was just so much fun.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's like, man, this is just like my childhood and just like growing up, in Indian family, going to like family friends' parties or just functions. So uh I will say one thing, just a little minor nitpick. It's like Bruno's wearing a suit, and it's like we saw him wear like traditional, Pakistani clothing and like the Eid Mubarak festival. He should have wore that. He should have wore that kind of clothing for a wedding. Like, I mean, he looks good in the suit. No problem on my end. But it was just like a minor nitpick. But
Makes
Hmm.
sense.
Okay. All right, let's see.
It was kind of cute when Kamal asked him to dance.
Yeah.
did you all notice the little like black kid? I don't know if maybe that's like the younger brother of like the of like Kamala's sister in law. He looks like he's wearing like the Hulk like outfit that like the dad was gonna wear
That
for.
Abu was wearing
Yeah,
during the. How oversized did it look on him?
It didn't look that
That's
oversized.
the thing. I don't know. I don't. That might be a coincidence. I don't know. Not sure. I think I love to think that like, oh yeah, I have this Hulk suit that I'm not gonna wear. So hey kid, you want it? Do I? Oh wait. You speaking of Abu though, I love that scene he had with Bruno, where Bruno has like all the gin research out, and he's at the convenience store, and he's sneaking out to get some snack cakes.
Yeah, Starberry. It's like the host of Starberry.
Yeah.
I love it. Like his rationale, like why he likes him, is just the syntheticness of it.
Yes, I love that.
I wonder what that exactly. I mean, what syntheticness means, but why does he love it because of the syntheticness?
Well, because I'm sure he's probably gets like real fruit all the time. He wants the Americana. He wants the taste of lies.
I think because I remember when he's at when you're at the Eat Festival, he looks like he's eating like maybe bits of candy. Maybe he just has a big sweet tooth.
Yeah, well, yeah. When he was what do you think he was? You think it was fruit, or you think it was like a candy of some kind? When he had like that thing on his plate when Nakia was trying to get his vote.
It was like probably like a candy fruits, a mixture. You know, like Pakistani snacks are a little bit more on like the fruit side of things than like pure sugar. That's like American stuff, but I could definitely see like Abu being like when he comes to the U.S., he just gets enamored with like American desserts and American like snacks.
Yeah,
It's just that sweet as compared to Pakistani snacks. I mean, he's like him and like Kamal's mom like Bon or Bon Jovi. So I feel like he's definitely the kind of person that just falls in love with like American culture and American food. As soon as he arrives. Love the Brown Jovi band. That was a nice touch.
I buy it. All right, so as I mentioned before, so again, our climaxes of this episode, again, I just, again, how we turned the Jinn into, like, we seem to be like, okay, this is really kind of a helpful bit of backstory here, and we might be going somewhere with this, to ultimate, like, okay, well, we need some action in this show, or else the kids won't watch it, so we need generic bad guys, and we've watered down. Instead of like doing something interesting with damage control, not quite being the bad guys, but definitely being an antagonistic light, we just went full like, okay, well, we need Kamala to fight some people with their powers.
Yeah, and like the fight choreography wasn't really that great.
I mean, I thought it was okay. It just seemed like okay, she's just fighting people who looked like they walked off the street. It's like, come on.
Yeah, they were like they were like barely super soldiers the way they fought. Like, it was just a lot of punching, like tossing.
And they had cool weapons. That's all they had. They had kind of cool weapons, and they weren't even the best.
Yeah, and then I think and just them not having any other powers beyond just like enhanced strength and durability just makes them like so even more generic.
That's what I'm saying. Think about like our legions of like kind of our henchmen we've had before. We've had the super soldiers, in which that kind of thing would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
We have we have the tracksuit bros, which have a great gimmick and they have cool outfits, and like they have like any sort of weapon they can get their hands on.
You mean the Truster Bro guys?
Yep, those guys exactly.
Did you actually notice the Truster Bro truck in the credits for these episodes?
I did. Oh wait, in this episode?
I was like, no, they're in the credits.
Yeah, in the credits, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I didn't actually notice that until this episode.
Yeah. No, I think, but for the super soldiers, they have the unique like face mask with like the handprint on it.
Yeah.
The thing is, they just look like generic, like bad guys would just wear regular clothes. Like you would see them on like a small episode.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's unfortunate. At least when we did in like Moon Knight, when you had like kind of henchmen, at least it was kind of anyone could have been one of those guys, and it was like you kind of globe trotting, so kind of like you're just going up against henchmen. Like before, it was like, okay, here are some threats, here are some villains, here are some people she can go toe to toe with, and I don't know, it's a little underwhelming. I did love it though when she was like saving Bruno and she was doing the elongated punch construct thing like she typically does.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. Oh, by the way,
I feel so bad for Bruno when he got hit with that chair.
Yeah.
It was like a metal chair, so that's got to hurt for a while.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure. And I like that we didn't just brush it under the rug. No, he's really hurt right now. We got to get him out of here.
And Nakia even asked him, like, "Are you okay? Like, are you okay?" He's like, "No, I'm not."
I wonder if the consequence is he's not going to be able to go to that college now because of his injury. I wonder.
I don't think so. He'll probably just like have like an arm brace, if anything. I'm just thankful he just didn't get hit in the head or like where or like he got or they started bleeding or anything like that.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah,
the injury.
Yeah, usually injuries like that don't really deter someone from going to college unless they're like an academic that's an athletic scholarship.
Right. Unless it's unless it's like a spinal injury or something. Yeah. Right. So, let's see. So all right. So of course Naki is in the know now, and she's definitely going to have some questions for her friend once she gets away. Speaking of which, damage control. I believe in the comics they call them the Cape Killers, basically like kind of the armed unit of damage control, which they roll in with basically things that. So I like that damage control actually got things done this episode. Like wow, they actually took out the generic bad guys. Yay them!
They're not like they're not like the stereotypical ineffective government agency. They actually get stuff done.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was like really sweating. Like Kamala, run! They actually know what they're doing. Run!
I mean, consider this like when Kamala saves that little boy between that time to when she gets like attacked by the drones. That's a quick response time.
It is. Oh, you're right. Compared to usual, yeah, it was great.
Yeah, because it's not like she was just like doing superhero stuff and like damage control was like just like keeping note of like where she appeared. Like,
Mhm.
well,
the net's closing in on them.
Yeah, the thing is they did went on in the tri-state area because Adventure Con was in New Jersey, and so it's probably with it happenstance, it's like, oh, it's a happy in Jersey City. All right, we can get a call around in that moment. Very curious for Kamala to interact with Agent Deaver or Agent Cleary.
I really want to see her interact with Cleary because Deaver, I'm just sure is gonna be. Oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna like this lady, but we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see. So the big big thing we end on this episode. Nani calls. Is that what we call the grandmother? Is it Nani or is it?
Yeah, it's Nani.
Nani calls, and she basically during the action just so we don't sweep under the rug too. We have the young Jin member. We have Kamran, the kind of the boy of her dreams. Right? That guy. He he was saving everyone's bacon. He was helping out during the fight. Unfortunately, now he's also incarcerated unjustly, if you ask me. But yeah, he's I'm saying like it was nice to see like he didn't just conform with the rest of you like reluctant. I have to bring you in or any of that. It's like no, he's very likes Kamala. He wants to help her. He had no idea they were going to use her. It sounds like they're just going to use her as a battery. They have no idea if it's going to blow up or not. They don't care. They want to go home for reasons.
It's weird that he didn't think to like text her and say, "Hey, you like they're coming," or call.
Well, like he did. Well, technically, he did say she didn't answer her phone. So.
Yeah, she's at a wedding.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
silence. Yeah. This is like the reception of the wedding right now.
And
so.
the least Zoomer thing to do to not answer your phone.
But Kamala's a good girl.
I mean, Kamala's not this kind of person, but like the instant click in the mosque, they would if they were at the wedding, they would definitely.
Yeah. Right.
Oh man.
Well, can you believe like the family was just ratting her out like that? I saw Kamala pull the fire alarm.
Well, considering like how much like they just, I mean, consider this like the amount of like gossip and just like peacocking and social status comparing, among like families or family friends with especially with the children. It's very realistic for like that one auntie just like, oh, I saw Kamala like put the fire alarm down. And also, it was not like she was being sneaky about it, right? Like she was doing it, it's not like Bruno was hiding her or her view was being obscured by something. She just pulled it out right there then.
Right. So,
but the other person was like was like, you can't see like 2 feet in front of your face. She got her driver's license revoked.
That I like that though. I kind of wish he got away with it because of that, but ultimately, I don't know. Here's the thing that's kind of troubling me is the whole like, why is Kamala keeping this a secret from her parents necessarily? I mean, it's obviously your mother. Here's the thing: we know her mother knows something, and she's just not saying. Now, again, it's a question of how much of that's just like burying the shame, or how much of it she actually knows what's going on with that
I
bank,
don't
with the
think
bank.
she actually knows about like the jinn stuff. I think like Kamala's probably just considering her mother was very insistent about her not using the bangle, and considering her first experience with the bangle like with at AdventureCon is a widely publicized thing. you know I can very and her like wanting to become like a superhero. It could definitely not end well for the mom. The dad, isn't as like on Kamala's case about being in the clouds. So maybe like it could be a situation where the mom doesn't react well, and the dad kind of has played the mediator role. That could be something that could happen like the fourth or fifth episode.
Right. Let's see. Speaking of the fourth episode, the big thing we tee up is Nani calls after Kamala tried to reach her last episode, to no avail, and Blake says, "Oh yeah, listen, I guess somehow she felt that Kamala got the vision of the train, so the train basically pointing to Karachi. Is that what it is? Karachi.
Yeah, Karachi.
Basically, the
Yeah, literally,
train.
Karachi is literally spelled out like on in the front of the train.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. I just wanted to be sure. Like, yeah, so that is like Karachi,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this train that was kind of barreling at her is like kind of like a symbol from Karachi, which basically implies that like, hey, Kamal, you have to go all the way from New Jersey to Karachi so we can figure this out. Now I got to tell you guys, I don't know about you, I'm a little worried about globetrotting in our down to earth kind of like Jersey set show. I'm a little worried about it because I don't think we're Moon Knight here.
Well, it's probably just going to be that episode, and
Yeah.
especially if it's going to be learning more about her family history, and considering she is Pakistani, it kind of makes sense for her to like show up. It's I don't think Kamal's gonna do a globetrotting adventure and just find random like gin objects or anything like that. It'll probably just be that fourth episode will be all Karachi, Pakistan focused. And fun fact, this will be the second time an MCU property's ever like had a scene set in South Asia.
Yeah, what was okay? So wait a minute. So Doctor Strange, that wasn't the other one, was it? No.
No, actually, Nepal. Okay, third,
Okay, so Doctor
third or
Strange.
fourth. I think because I'm thinking because there's Multiverse of Madness. So that because I was thinking more of the Avengers with where like Bruce is in India.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like Avengers, Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness,
There you go.
and then like this.
Yeah, it's yeah, it sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, so I think that Jacob, can you think anything we need to cover? Anything you'd like to talk about before we wrap this puppy up?
I can't really think of anything.
All right. Well, I guess that's it. I guess that'll do it, and we'll be definitely we got 3 more episodes. Jacob? Can you look up real quick if it is 3 episodes or like or
no, it's 3 episodes.
It is.
Yeah.
So they're definitely going for 6 then.
Yeah.
I just want to be sure.
They always go for 6, except for WandaVision.
Well, I know that, but I know She-Hulk's going to break that though. That's why I'm kind of questioning. Well, and you're right. What if that's what I'm saying? Traditionally, it is 6 when we do the hour longs, but She-Hulk I think is going to be half hour. I think.
Yeah, because it's going to be like the half-hour comedy legal sitcom.
Yeah, the Ally McBeal sort of thing. Yeah. Anywho, all right. So, okay. Well, Rohith, I want to thank you for joining us. I want to thank anyone who's going to be watching this kind of afterward. And that'll do it for us this week as we holster our remotes till the next installment calls for the draw. Mano a mano, just Plus&Us.